Hi. Hello everyone. I'm 1 minute early, so I'm just gonna let you enjoy the music that we have going on while more people join us. Alright, it's 1 p.m. I'll put up my music now and get my stuff ready. Welcome, happy Friday. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are watching me from. My name is Stellar, and this is Women Doing It Afraid, our Facebook Live sessions, where we have conversations that create change, that inspire change. I want to thank just everyone who is always supporting, watching our Spotlight series, or signing up to our mailing list, or asking questions. For those who don't know what Women Do It Afraid is about, we are a community of women who are striving to do it afraid every day. We're not letting fear hold us down. We're not letting our issues or insecurities or doubts or excuses hold us down. And what we do to inspire and empower ourselves is to surround ourselves with women who are constantly doing afraid, hence the Spotlight series. Also to share inspirations, empowering messages, and to have Facebook Live sessions like this where we talk about things that affect us on a daily basis as women. And for today, I'm excited about today's topic, which is why do I self-sabotage? That's interesting. That really hits home as well. And I'm looking forward to talking more about it, but also getting your comments, your questions, anything. If anything you can relate to through these Facebook Live sessions, please put it on the comment or the chat box, and I'm looking forward to answering them to the best of my ability. And if you're not following us on our mailing list, please feel free. It is free. It is www.womendoingitafraid.com. You can also check out our website. Follow us on Instagram at womendoingitafraid.com, Facebook, womendoingitafraid.com. All right. So straight up to it. It's 1:01. So I'm just going to wait for a few minutes while, more people join us. Yeah, while I look for my music to play. Oh well. And I hope you had a great week. I hope that it's June already. Who can believe that? It's literally like half of the year. 2017 is really walking and flying really fast. And my prayer is that, the goals, the things that you're putting your heart to achieve for this year, that you're at least on the halfway mark. Just doing it afraid every single day, regardless of circumstances, environment, situations, finance, funds, naysayers, yes-sayers, and just doing it. That's what life is about. Every single day that is wasted can be gotten back, and that is that's enough motivation for you to just say, what's the worst that can happen? Really, then think about what's the best that can happen, and just put everything you have into that dream, into that desire, into that that aspiration, into your plans and ideas. Just put everything into it and just keep the ball rolling. All right, enough talk for today. So today we're talking about self-sabotage, and when you think about self-sabotage, what comes to your mind? I'm going to just read the definition that what it means to me and what I saw, when I did my research. For me, self-sabotage is you getting in your way of getting things done. Yeah, you literally putting your foot ahead of yourself to trip. That to me self-sabotage, and that can sound like, okay, so why would I want to do that to myself? Why would I want to sabotage myself? But people, every day we do that without even knowing that we're doing that. It is deep-rooted. And I'm going to read something I saw online, which I think explains it clearly as well. So self-sabotage is any behavior, thought, or emotion that holds you back from getting to where you consciously want to get. Behavior, thought, or emotion. It prevents you from reaching your goal, and also plays that safety, that comfortable mechanism in your mind, because you don't want to get hurt, so you stop at a certain level. You don't want to be disappointed, so you stop at a certain level. You don't want to be heartbroken, so you stop at a certain level, just because you're scared of what's going to happen when you move over your comfort zone. And that really, in a nutshell, is self-sabotage. So your brain has gotten used to this feeling that, okay, I know that if I get to this level, I'll be okay. Okay, I know that if I walk to this certain point in time, yeah, the pay will be okay for me. But I don't want to request for an increase in salary, even if I'm coming in and doing more work, because they might tell me no. And what's the worst thing that can happen? Hearing no from a manager, right? Not only that, you feel like, okay, I have a target on my back now, because my manager will feel that I'm greedy, or I'm asking for too much, or maybe I'm even thinking of leaving the organization. So we just put ourselves in that box and we say, I'm okay for where I am now, you know. The worst case scenario then is we even stop doing excellent work. We then start doing ordinary work, because we're like, yeah, I'm not going to ask for an increase in pay, so why am I putting in the extra effort? I might as well just do whatever I want to do. So I come at any time, I leave in at any time. And then that defeats the purpose, because what you're doing that your manager is saying, your colleagues are saying, the executives are saying, and even that behavior doesn't even qualify you for a promotion or for an increase in revenue if they were even thinking of that, right? That is self-sabotage. All right, so like I was saying, please feel free to put a comment. I want to make sure that this is live. Yeah, okay. All right, so what are the most common, behaviors for self-sabotage? So you might be asking yourself, okay, but I put in all the work, I do my assignments, I invest in myself, I, pitch my business ideas, I think about ideas and I execute it immediately. And then you're like, this video doesn't appeal to me, or has absolutely nothing to do with me. So the question I want to ask you is, what are the self-sabotaging behaviors that you think you can relate to, right? You think, okay, it doesn't appeal to you, but procrastination is a self-sabotaging behavior. Procrastination in business and career and relationships. And I'm going to just break it down into specific examples. So, for example, in business, right, you hire family as accountants for your business, or, in a position, and you realize that family is not helping your business. They're actually draining it down, right? They can't explain the expenses that happen. They come in late. They don't treat your business like it is a business. They think it's a joke or a hobby. But you don't want to let them go, because you're like, what would they say? You are sabotaging yourself. At the end of the day, the question is, what is important to you? What are you willing to let go? Are you ready to drag family and friends that will pull your business down just because of the feeling of, I don't want to hurt anyone? Just thinking about that, right? You have chosen what is really important to you. A ship that has a hole would inevitably sink, and that's the truth. A business that has people or employee or resources that are spending anyhow, that are treating customers badly, and you refuse to let them go, you're sabotaging your business. You're sabotaging the things that you have, the sweat that you've put in to grow that business. So that's an example. For career, like I said earlier on, right? You know that you deserve an increase in pay. And I'll give you an example. This actually happened to me. I was working in a company that I was doing much more than was in the job description. Like, I can do a separate talk about job descriptions and what you actually do on the job. I was doing much more than was in the job description, right? And I loved it. My manager kept giving me extra to do. And, I had more responsibilities. I was presenting reports to executives. I was in charge of people. But then one day, someone was not next to me who was doing something a little bit lower than I was doing. I realized that she was earning more than I was earning. Oh my days, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I was like this, and I didn't also have the courage to ask for an increase in pay. I didn't have the courage to ask for an increase in pay, because then I'm like, what mouth would I use to ask? These people, they gave me this job, so I kind of like owe them, I owe them that, to not ask for extra. Let me just do the work and just be comfortable in what I'm being given. Would you believe that for a while I was hurt? But then someone spoke to me, and I started gathering evidence of my work. I started piling it up, because I started putting in an Excel spreadsheet saying, I do this, and I do that. And by the time I had a meeting with my manager and I told him this is what I do, he was so impressed. And do you know that I got an increase in my pay with more? So imagine if I was comfortable, if I remained comfortable in that position till probably when I left, I would have done myself a disservice by not asking for what I was worth. Now for you, are you asking for what you're worth? Are you asking yourself? Are you asking for yourself what you're worth? Are you, it's just, I guess it's just all mentality, because You're worth more. You bring in the work, you bring in the time, you bring in the effort. Oh, but then there's just that fear of, I don't know what they would say if I ask. Why don't you start today by asking for what you are worth? There's enough of managing, enough of perch here, perch there. If you're putting in the work, you're doing the research, you're putting in the time, you're using your time, because the time is your most valuable asset, and you're not being remunerated to that level of time you're putting in, you are doing yourself a disservice. And that's all I can say on that. Relationship. Do you know people self-sabotage their relationship? So example would be, you meet someone who loves you, who cares for you deeply and truly, right? And then because of the fact that you've gone through a series of bad relationships, you just automatically put that person in that category of, it is not going to work. So you do everything in your power to mess up the relationship that is actually going well. So you cheat, or you lie, or you don't treat a person right just because you want the person to get fed up and just say, you know what, I'm done. But then what happens when the person is still holding on? The person still holds on because they love you, and then you are the one who then says, oh, I'm done, just because I don't want to go through the whole process of a heartbreak because I know it's going to happen. Self-sabotage, right? Yeah. So now the question for you now will be, thinking about the things that you do on a daily basis. How do you self-sabotage yourself? When you wake up in the morning, when you go out to work, or when you reply that email, or when you go to your shop front, or when you talk to people, or when you hang out with friends, in your relationships, in your business, in your career, in your life, in your family. How do you unconsciously self-sabotage yourself? That's the question that I want you to answer. And I'm just going to talk about the different types of self-sabotage, right? While you're thinking about that. Procrastination. Fear of failure. Fear of taking risk. So you stay with what is comfortable. Fear of saying no, because if I say no, that opportunity might pass me by. So I don't want to say no, let me just do it. So you have like 1 million things you're doing and everything is sleeping. And then that is not even a clear picture of what your value is. But everything is sleeping. But you could have said no, but we don't want to say no because I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. But then you're just one person, right? Fear of perfectionism. I want everything to be perfect. I want everything. Do you know that is self-sabotage? Which is funny because I would think, oh yeah, but that is kind of like an asset. But it really is also a liability, because if you're so perfect, if you want everything to be ready before you start, you never actually end up starting. You're waiting for when everything will be perfect, you don't start at all. You don't make any progress, you don't make any movement, all that is self-sabotage. All right, so talk about inability to say no, inability to admit mistakes, just like the relationship example that I gave. You're worrying constantly. You are setting yourself with unrealistic expectations, and you're afraid of making mistakes. So that goes back to the fear of the perfectionist who doesn't want to make a mistake. They want everything to be perfect. You worry constantly. The chains just keep moving and moving and moving and moving. You overwhelm your mind with what can go wrong, that you don't do anything. That is self-sabotaging, and then you find yourself in a place where you can't move forward, you can't move backward. You're just depressed. You just don't know what to do. You have these ideas. You just don't know how to break out of that rut. That is self-sabotaging. Critically judging others. You're sabotaging yourself because you're messing up your relationships. You're messing up your mind. Another type of self-sabotaging behavior is when you're critically judging yourself, your own self. There's a quote that I saw that said, be careful what you say to yourself because you are listening. Be careful how you talk to yourself. Be careful how you address yourself. Be careful how you place yourself because you are listening. You are the one, by God's grace, who is going to do the things that has been laid for you. You are the one. So why would you get in your way? Forget about the external factors now, the naysayers, people who don't believe in your vision, people who criticize you, people who look down on you. But why would you be the one to hold yourself down? There's so many other battles, so many battles to fight. So why would yourself be a battle? And that's what, this video is talking about, is so we can identify the self-sabotaging behaviors, but also we can talk about how to break ourselves out of that cycle. how to make some progress, how to reflect, how to deflect, and how to accept that we are great. I am great. I am a fantastic and I'm an amazing woman. When I put in the work, I see results. Just how to have all that going on in your mind. Self-sabotaging definitely is something that we have to address if we want to make some progress. So I've talked about the different types of self-sabotaging behaviors. Number one, fear of failure, judging others, judging yourself, inability to say I'm sorry, inability to love yourself for who you are, procrastination, you're worrying constantly, you want to be perfect, you're complaining about other people, limiting beliefs, limiting emotions, limiting thoughts. The battle of life starts from the mind. Even the self-sabotaging behavior starts from the mind. And this is, just all about making us aware that we have to refine, we have to be careful what we accept, what we think about, and what is also the result from our thought process. So I'm just going to go over what are the reasons, right? Nobody wakes up one morning and says, today I'm going to stand in my way. Today I'm going to make sure that I don't get that $1 million contract. Today I'm going to make sure that when I go for that interview, I'm not prepared. Today I'm going to make sure that when I meet an amazing person, I'm going to mess up that relationship. Today when I start my business, I'm going to hire people that are going to drain the business and run me dry. Nobody wakes up thinking like that. So there must definitely be a reason for self-sabotaging. And it links to self-esteem. It links to the mind. It links to your thoughts. It links to your self-confidence. What are your self-belief? Everything goes back to the mind. And if you can remember my initial definition of what self-sabotaging was, it's kind of like the mind mechanism of trying to stay with what is comfortable. So what is your comfort limit? Why are you so comfortable then? That is what self-sabotaging does. It doesn't want you to set high expectations for fear of failure. You're unconsciously trying to stay in a place that the worst that can happen, because after that you cannot predict what will happen. You cannot predict if the person will leave you, if they will say yes to your promotion, or if you have that job, or if you have that funding. So you just stay what's comfortable. And my example was my job, my pay. I was doing the whole work, and the person next to me was doing less and earning more. And I refused. I literally had to be pushed. To go and ask my manager for a raise, just because I was scared of what he would say, because I felt like he did me a favor by giving me that job. So, but then at the end of the day, it boils down to, so what do I think I'm what? What do I think I'm bringing to the table? There are so many people, who sell hope, and hope is great, hope, it makes the spirit alive, but then yourself, what you bring to the table. So don't self-sabotage your time, which is the most valuable investment that you have. If there are people in your life that are pulling you down, you let them go. If you're doing a job that you put in the time, you put in the effort, and you're not being paid, you're not being paid to the value of what you bring to the table, you have every right to ask for an increase. And like I always say, what is the worst that can happen? All right, enough of that. Moving on to how do we eliminate self-sabotaging patterns, right? How do you take yourself, or how do I take myself away from that cycle of being comfortable, of standing in my way, of refusing to think outside the box just because I'm scared of what is outside the box? And I want you to know that this is self-sabotaging is, it hits home, because especially for people that we have big ideas and big visions and big aspirations, there is that fear of when do I think I can actually accomplish this? When do I think this can happen? I have a kid, I have a husband, I've got a 9 to 5, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yeah, it's not going to happen. And unconsciously, we are standing in our way, and we wouldn't make any progress. And then the days pass, and the years pass, time pass, and then we are gone. And then all the ideas and dreams and visions that we have, we are sharing it with someone in terms of a story. Like I was saying one time that I remember when I was in UK, and most of the time when I'm in the the buses, older people are probably sharing their stories. Like, when I was young, I had this idea, I wanted to do this, and you see the hope in their eyes and the joy in their eyes when they're talking about what they wanted to do. And I ask myself, what stopped them? I feel like I need to ask older people. Maybe I should do a series asking older people, what do you think, or what do you wish you could have done differently? If you had time back, what can you do differently? And for you, young woman, young man, you have time. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do differently? Okay, moving on. How to eliminate your self-sabotaging patterns. Number 1, figure out what is really going on and why it is going on. What is going on? We can't come up with solutions if we cannot figure out what the problem is, right? So why am I scared to ask for more? Why am I scared to go all in this business? Why am I holding on to pain? Why am I holding on to defeat? Why do I have such mentalities and why do I have such beliefs? What is really going on with me? That's the first thing that I would do, is investigate and ask myself, just reflect. What is really going on, and what is preventing us from moving forward? Because when we do this, we are consciously aware that there is a problem, and we are consciously taking steps to finding a solution. So that would be my number 1. Also, we must also ask ourselves, what triggers this? So what is the trigger to this? Because in as much as we know what the problem is, there might be actions before, or a situation or people or circumstances that cause us to self-sabotage ourselves. So what causes it? Because when you can put a handle to it, you can be accurate with the solution. I don't know if I'm making sense, but when you know what the problem is, when you know, okay, when I hang around these people, I do things I didn't want to do. That is a trigger, right? At least you know that you can take yourself away from that network, or from that group of people. When I go to work, I end up doing this. So at least work is is a trigger to it. Or when I'm around certain people, things like that. So figuring out exactly what causes it. So for me, I'll probably say, okay, when I'm overwhelmed, overwhelmed can be a trigger. Being overwhelmed can be a trigger. Being tired can be a trigger. Looking at, this is a very wonderful example, getting carried away with other people's progress or movement. Instead of being inspired, you are choked up and you're depressed and you're comparing. That can be a trigger, and I think it's really relatable, because you can be doing awesome and great, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm touching lives and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and then maybe you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook or any social media platform that you are on, and then you see these beautiful pictures. People went here, person went there, the dresses are beautiful, their makeup is great and all of that, and then you begin to think about, right, I'm not really that great then. Why did I think I was making some progress? And then you're gonna think, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, maybe I should go here, maybe I should go there, maybe I should tweak my ideas, maybe, and then we become a sum of every other person's parts. We become a voice, but every other person's intonation. Then how are you going to really sound? Have you ever heard someone trying to sing soprano, alto, tenor all at the same time? Yeah, that can be a great trigger. I'm glad that I thought about that. So now the key is to identify these limiting beliefs, then work on transforming them into positive. Because in nature, there is no vacuum, right? So you've identified it, you figured out the trigger. So number 2 is, what can I replace it with? So I'm asking you, what can you replace it with? So when you wake up and look at that social media platform that makes you feel like you are not making any form of impact in this world, that is your trigger. So you realize, okay, I've got to stop doing this. What am I going to replace it with? How about you replace it with building content for your followers? How about you replace it with writing, writing about how you feel, because there's somebody out there who's feeling the same way. How about you replace it by reading inspirational books, reading empowering messages? How about you replace it by taking a run, or by walking, or by investing in yourself, by saying, okay, this person, if I feel this way, maybe I should transform this negative feeling into positive and say, I love what this person is doing. I'm reaching out to that person and saying, I love what you're doing. It inspires me. If you have any tip for me, please feel free to bring my way. Things like that. That is replacing it. Or pay, when it comes to the career part, right? You know that you're doing the whole work, and why don't you move up to your manager, and say, manager, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. In fact, why don't you look for a course that you can do, so that your manager realizes that this person is just not just a secretary. Person is doing much more than this, and they really believe in the value of the work that they're bringing in, and they believe in the organization. That is much more firearm for you to apply for or request for a pay raise. So always look for a way to replace, you know, the old pattern with a new pattern that is more practical and more helpful, because then instead of just taking yourself away from that environment, because that pattern will continue if you don't replace it. So that will be my number 2. Number 3, practice this new habit until it is formed, right? And we know we're all, you know, we're adults, and we know that it's easy to always sleep back, you know, and thank God for grace, you know. It's easy to always sleep back. So in those moments, you know, where you're sleeping back, we, you know, have an accountability partner if you have one, but if you don't, we just keep practicing. We keep, you know, keep doing what we know is right, you know. Even for, okay, a good example would be diets. You know, someone wants to lose weight, you know, and they know that they love cookies, or they love, you know, what would I say, yogurt or plantain chips, you know, and they keep going to that aisle that has it in their grocery store. How are they going to lose that weight? You know, you love it so much, you know, but you know that the trigger is you going to that store, but you still end up going to that store. You're self-sabotaging your diet. You know, you might exercise and you wonder why the weight is not coming off, but what are you doing about the situation? So you replace it. You can replace it with something healthy, like, you know, my favorite, red grapes. Replace it with grapes, replace it with carrot, apples, you know. Look for salads, you know, chicken, you know, fish, and all those things, just to fill that vacuum. And by the time you keep doing it over and over again, you lose that taste, you know, of junk food from your mouth, hopefully, and then replace it with something better. All right, so my step 4 will be to break that self-sabotaging cycle, take more risk. Why? Because when you take more risk, you are expanding, you're increasing your threshold for, what would I say? You're getting stronger, right? Because those who take more risk, they achieve more. They celebrate victories. They move from one level to another level. They conquer that fear and they move on to the next level, even if it's a bigger kind of fear. They conquer. You just keep conquering. You keep making progress, you know. Playing it safe is self-sabotaging, you know, but then taking more risk, you break through that mentality that, okay, I see myself having a storefront on the road, but now I see myself having an aisle in Walmart. You know how? You don't know. You know, you don't know how, but it's going to happen. Why? Because I'm putting in the work every day. You know, I don't know how this is going to be bigger. All I know is that I'm speaking, I'm reaching out to women. This was a passion for me. It's still going to be, it is a passion for me. I don't know, I'm stammering here. It is a passion for me because it was birthed from an issue, you know, that, okay, why is it that we have so many ideas, but we don't know how to do it? We can't do it, you know? And for me, this might be my way of breaking out through self-sabotaging by speaking to other women who I know are doing it afraid every single day. By reading up, by talking, by doing researches, you know, by creating that platform where women who want to be better in their career, in their business, in their personal life, you know, and who want to break out of that rut can come and find a safe place, you know, find a safe landing place, get more firepower, and just keep it moving. So take more risk. Number 5, take time for self-reflection. Yeah. Take time for self-reflection. Where I am right now, it's so easy to get into the rat race from morning to night. We just keep going round and round and round and round in a cycle. We drag things along the way, you know, we don't even shed any weight, you know, we just keep going and going and going. But what time do we have to even think? They say, okay, from January to February, now we're in June. How much have I read? How much have I put into myself? How many books have I read? How many people have I given to? What have I done tangibly in my business? You know, who have I employed? Whose lives have I changed? How have I been a blessing to my community, to my church, you know, to my family? What's my professional development plan? What's my personal development plan? What's my emotional development plan? What's my financial development plan? You know, self-reflection is key, because there you are honest with yourself. Nobody's lying to you, you know, and then you can take actual steps to changing things, you know, by building out the plan, by having people that you're accountable to. All right, so that is the 5 steps I've talked about regarding breaking through the self-sabotaging pattern. So number 1 was figure out what's really going on and exactly why is it going on. Identify a healthy replacement behavior. So replace that trigger with something positive, right? Number 3, practice this behavior until it is really formed. Number 4, take more risk. And number 5, take time to self-reflect. And just to conclude about this, self-sabotaging is more like a bomb that you're holding, but you're holding the trigger, right? You're holding the trigger, so you control when you pull it off or when you don't pull it off. You know, you can diffuse it. It's something, it's within you, so you are in control of how you harm yourself or how you help yourself. And I don't want you to feel that, oh, self-sabotaging for certain kind of people, or I've got to meet a therapist. Probably, you know, I don't want to go all into those levels. But just on a daily basis, you know, for that person, for that woman out there who wakes up in the morning and finds herself in a rut over and over again in this, on the same cycle, the same process, I want you to just ask yourself, how am I causing this to myself? How am I causing this to myself? What time am I giving to a huge portion of my day that is not even making progress, that is making me feel worse? Why would I spend maybe 3 hours of my day speaking to someone who I know whose words will bring my spirit down, and then I wonder why throughout the day I can't get anything done? That is self-sabotaging. Why am I saying yes to over and over again, that I feel overwhelmed and I can't make any progress, right? You say yes to everybody at work, and then when you go home, you don't even have time. You have no brain space, mental space, emotional space to even spend time with your kids. You're self-sabotaging yourself. I know it might be easy to sound or say, but I just want you to take the little steps. And as much as I'm also taking those little steps that I can take, you know, to ensure that I'm not in my own way. There are enough people out there that can be in our way, but make sure that I am on my own team. I am playing for my team. I am for myself. I am my cheerleader, and I am making sure that I'm doing all that God has given me, you know, the ability to do. And that is all I can say at this point in time. I want to thank you all for joining me, and please feel free to ask questions, put your comments down. I would answer them also when I can. And please follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, Women Doing Afraid, and our mailing list, womendoingafraid.com. Till next week, stay blessed, have a fantastic weekend, enjoy yourself, read some books, invest in yourself, spend time with your family, love nature, you know, and do the things that make you happy. All right then, bye everyone.